Hello, good morning and welcome again to our vlog, which Jared and I are running every... Is it a vlog or what's it called, Jared?
Vlog.
Vlog, I call it a V.
I like vlog, you can keep that.
A vlog, sorry, I'm a bit quirky with my terminology, but anyway, welcome to the channel. I've got Jared laughing. Thank you so much everyone for your comments yesterday. We well received that video that Jared put out on the box, on the egg box setup. So we want to thank you for that, and beautiful comments and some lovely comments from our community, just wishing the family well that's suffering with COVID at the moment. So JV Royals,
JB, isn't it?
JV actually.
OV.
JV, yeah. So I hope you're feeling the love, guys, and thank you for your comments and for your responses to the video as well, and we wish you well with your recovery. So there's a few things we want to do today. We've got half an hour together, so let's start off by first, Jared, you've had some messages on Instagram and we want to acknowledge the support and congratulate Jared actually and the community. You've just hit 1,200 plus followers, am I right, Jared?
Yeah, on Instagram.
Yeah, so he's only been doing it for what, 6 months now?
Yeah, about that.
So that's working out pretty good, Jared. I mean, and I'm really pleased with how that's working for you, and it's a great forum to communicate, so do feel free to send Jared messages on it. He'll pick those up and let me know what's going on. I take care of the Facebook account and the YouTube. So they're the three methods of contacting us. But did you want to share any messages yourself, Jared, on what you've had from the feedback on that last video?
Yeah.
If you would be so kind.
So there's one from, I think it's Baden Bowen, and they were just giving us a nice message letting us know that they use chip shop paper, so unprinted newspaper, and were just really kind in allowing us to have that idea and telling us what they use. So yeah, that was really kind of them. We appreciate the advice and the tips because we're still learning as well. So
yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because although we talked about the hatching of the eggs, we also covered a video earlier about substrate and how we were using tissue paper ourselves, and we were actually doing a discussion between cocoa block and tissue. And I think he's come up there, and I think a couple of other of our subscribers on YouTube suggested a very cost-effective way, and I've seen a lot of professional people do it, chip paper. So in the UK, you must know that we love our fish and chips. So the fish and chip companies, they get paper from these big paper mills, and it's white paper. It comes in massive rolls, and they buy it big time from there just so they can wrap up the fish and chips, so we take them out. So a lot of hobby breeders and semi-professional breeders are using that. And we've never used it, have we, Jared? But thank you for the suggestion. I think it's really cheap as well. It's like 16 quid for a massive roll. So
yeah,
if you can't afford, let's say we use Blitz, and Jared recommended that. Why did you recommend that, Jared, for us in the first place?
it's just what I used in the past. I found it really absorbed the wee and the poo really well.
Yeah, so it fits well with the size of the rubs. 2 sheets will fit perfectly on a 33 litre rub, which makes it really nice. We put 2 in there, and any big girls get 2 or 3 layers on there. So the bigger the girl or boy, the more paper we put down to absorb their urine. And I think one of our other subscribers, Chris B, came up with some ideas on how to, I think he was suggesting that you could put paper in with the cocoa block. And because I was making that point about cocoa block, when you've got urine, it can run through the cocoa block and form at the base over 4 weeks. It can build and be a problem. And Rich at Predator BP put out a really good video yesterday about that. He's changing to bigger bowls for humidity. He's moving away from cocoa block, and I think he's moving on to Aspen, was it?
No, it's
what was it he put himself onto? I can't remember.
Lim something.
Begins
I don't know
with,
what it's called.
Begins with L. I can't remember what it's called. But he's going back to an old substrate. Please go and check out Rich's video for yesterday. Jared will probably look it up. But by the way, Rich, thank you for our shout out as well. So we appreciate the love that you're giving back to our channel. So thank you for the wonderful shout out. And I think what we'll do, was there any other feedback on your Instagram account, Jared, or was that the main one you wanted to share?
Yeah, that was the one.
So while Jared's looking up some details, what we were going to do is we're going to do a review of the comments that we had clarifying the egg box setup.
Lignocell.
Lignocell it's called, yeah. So have a look at the last video that Predator BP put out. I think it was a really good film actually because
you were featured on it.
It was nice to be featured on it, but
it was a good.
I think it was really good.
It was a good vlog. I enjoyed it.
Vlog. What was the joke? I was going to crack a joke today. I was going to share a joke with you, and I've forgotten the joke now. Me and Jad were laughing.
Probably for the better.
What was it? It made you laugh, wasn't it, Jad? What was the? Can you remember the joke?
Nah, I don't remember. Off the top of my head. Something about a diving board.
Oh, this is what it was. Thank you, Jared. Yeah. So anyway, when Richard put out his bowls, I wasn't sure whether he was going like that to the camera or whether. I mean, those bowls were huge. I've never seen such huge bowls, and he got them from a home bargains. Home bargains was it? And pretty cheap as well, good value. But I couldn't believe the size of them. I thought. So I said to Jared, we might have to review our bowls, and I jokingly said, "This is the joke. Might make you giggle." I said, Richard, we're going to do the same, but we're going to go for diving boards off ours. You're probably thinking, bit of a corny joke that one, but no, the idea being is it's such a big reservoir, you might as well stick a diving board on it if you get my drift. Imagine our snakes just bouncing off and doing, 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 woo!
Alright, moving on.
Do you know what, you've got to have a little bit of a sense of humour in this life, otherwise you just crack up.
And I think that's your problem, Dad.
Yeah. Well, I think this is the problem, Jack, is that all my dad's jokes are going to come out on this vlog if you're not lucky, if you're unlucky enough. But anyway, let's do the quote for the day. So the quote for the day is taken from a guy called Ralph Waldo Emerson, and I think I've memorised this. So I'm not going to read this. See if I can remember this now. When I was 18, I went out and served a mission for my church, and we memorised scriptures and we memorised really uplifting quotes. And this is one that I committed to memory 37 years ago, and I'm going to see if I can. Jared will correct me if I get it wrong. So this is where it goes. Okay, so that which you persist in doing becomes easier to do. Not that the nature of the task changes, but that our ability to achieve that task becomes greater.
Pretty much.
Am I nearly there?
No, that's it pretty much.
Is that it? Okay.
2 different words, but you get the drift.
Yeah. So let me just repeat that, because it took me quite a while to get that. So I'm going to repeat that message. That we persist in doing, for example, let's take me trying to pop. I mean, I haven't learned how to pop a snake yet. So let's use the snake example to interpret this. So it's all want to relate this to snakes. So I had one go. I have to make a confession that I said every day I'm going to try, and I haven't, because the last time I tried was with Jared for the first time, which was about 3 or 4 days ago, wasn't it, Jared?
Yeah.
So after I've done this quote, remind me to have a go, Jared. I'm going to have another go. Okay?
Sure.
I need to. So that you persist in doing. So let's take me persisting with my desire to pop a snake. So a lot of people give up because they try and they can't get it, and we just give up. Or they try a different alternative and they go probing, but that's fine, whatever you want to do. So that you persist in doing becomes easier to do, Okay, so that you persist in doing becomes easier to do. That means if I stay with my belief that I can do this, and keep trying, don't let failure knock us back, keep trying, that you persist in doing becomes easier to do. So initially you look at a task, you think, I don't get it, I just don't get it, or I can't do it, and you just write it off and you walk away from it and you never go back to it. But if you are a little bit lovingly persistent and you keep with it, eventually you could unlock the technique for doing it. So don't give up on anything, guys, and that's a principle true of life. Now, it's not because the problem changes that we do it, it's because our ability to accomplish the task gets greater with practice. Practice makes perfect, effectively. So let's have a go, Jared. Have you chosen the snake? Give me an easy snake. Adults are harder to pop, and you gave me an adult, so that's my excuse for not popping it. Give me a snake that may be a bit easier, Jared. Which one are you going to give me?
They all fed yesterday, so...
Give me one that hasn't fed. I'll tell you what, Kylo didn't feed.
Okay.
Actually, good news on the feeding front. We had a big feeding front last night. Our big clown we imported in, we've had about, say, 4 weeks now. When she came, she was cold, wasn't she, Jared?
Yeah.
I was shocked. I mean, it wasn't as bad as, you know, Billy had his video he put out. He's taken off now, but he had an imported bunch of snakes that got really cold, and I think a lot of us were shocked by that. And about a week after that, we got a snake in from Europe, and it was a big 2.8 kilogram clown, pastel clown, and it came in a bag. It wasn't in a box, and it wasn't kept warm, and it came all the way from Europe. I won't say who it was that sent it to us, because I don't like doing that. But I wasn't pleased, and I did take it up with the person that supplied, and he referred me to the shipper. Tried to blame on the shipper, which I didn't want to go that route because I'd paid him to organise the shipping. Therefore, in my book, whoever organises the shipping takes full responsibility for the shipment of that snake. Whether the courier messes up or not, it's his issue, he's got to deal with it. Even though I'm more concerned about the snake, to be honest with you. Anyway, she's doing okay. She wasn't as bad as the snakes that Billy had. She was just really cold. Jared told me that, didn't you, Jared, when you opened her out of the bag?
Yeah, she was really, really cold. She wasn't not moving, but she was very
yeah, she was docile.
Dormant
and docile. And she's not fed for how many weeks?
About 4.
4 weeks, and we put her in the house. She's in the house, in the incubation area.
Quarantine, not incubation.
Sorry, quarantine. That's all right. I'm a little bit dyslexic.
Dyslexic.
There
you go, there's the proof.
Yeah. So if I do
please.
say some things, it's not because I'm. What's the word? I've got a little bit of an issue there with in interpreting words and expressing myself. So if I come out with some weird things like merc instead of merch, it's because I'm a bit that way inclined. So that's part of me. Please accept me for my weakness, but you'll have some fun with me. But anyway, they've come back to this clown, this big clown girl. I was worried about her. We've been keeping a really close eye on her, and she's been drinking and she's been happy. She's warmed up over time, hasn't she? And yesterday I asked Jared to go feed her a small rat, and we've been presenting food to her for the last 4 weeks, haven't we, Jared? And when Jared came back and said, "Dad, big clown girl has eaten," I was so happy. It really does make you feel happy when you see that. It's a good indicator that she's recovering. So I shall introduce you to this big clown girl. We've got to give her a name as well, but she's part of our big projects on the clown side, so we're just hoping she'll be okay. She's 2.8 kilograms and she's a proven breeder, so hopefully she'll do the biz. But the other thing that was good news is, I was talking about the banana boy that hadn't eaten for 6, my lovely Orange Dream Super Pastel Banana Apollo. Well, he's been breeding like a trooper, never failed to lock. And I was worried about him because I was thinking about pulling him, because even though he's 1,000 grams, he hasn't eaten for 6 weeks, and I was getting concerned. And I think a lot of us get concerned with our boys and girls that don't eat. So I'm going to give you a little top tip here. Get yourself a bag of Maltese, what are Maltese known as, Jared?
African soft-furred rats.
African soft-furred rats, ASFs. And I would go for something that's... What do we go for? What size do we go for?
We get large.
Let me show you what they look like. Now this is the key to getting breedable animals to feed. Okay, I'm just going to show a tip. Right. We always have a bag of these. Okay. Now you can probably see they're not that big, are they, Jared?
No.
There's
they're about the size of a wiener.
Yeah. They cost us, for a pack of those, Jared, how much do we pay for those? Is it about...
I don't remember.
They're about £1.50 each, I think.
Yeah.
So you've got 15 quid's worth of ASF. So they're more expensive than rats. Rats are normally £1 each. You pay an extra 50p an animal for these. But what they do is worth the extra 50p, because this is like candy to a baby, this is. I mean, this is like, when you're looking... Sorry?
Candy to a baby.
Not candy to a baby.
Don't give it to them.
So Jared's got a baby, so...
Yeah, my wife would kill me if I gave them sweets.
So what I'm... Sorry. This feels like the Oliver and Lauren Hardy show. This feels like the Lauren Hardy show here. I don't know who's Laurel, and I don't know who's Hardy.
You're both of them.
Ooh, Ollie. That's another fine mess you've got me into, Ollie. No, I'm not a good impersonator, but I think you get the drift, and I hope you're all having a good giggle. I mean, if I could just brighten you up. I mean, laughter is the great medicine out there, so I'm making an absolute fool of myself, but I don't mind if it makes everyone happy. So, maybe there's another clown in here, Jad, that I don't know about. Right, sorry, I'm on a roll. If you get me going on my jokes, they start to flow. But anyway, the point here is, let's come back to the serious tips here. The serious tip about this is, though, we use these normally for fussy feeders, and this is like, you've had a nice roast dinner, and then your tummy's really full up, and then your wife comes out, or someone comes out, and they put like a raspberry pavlova on your plate, on your dessert, and you really can't really eat it, but you look at it and you think, oh my goodness me, that's my favourite dessert, by the way. So if we ever get a chance to go out and have dinner together with any of our viewers out there, we'll go to a restaurant and I'll let you into a secret, that's one of my favourite desserts. So I look at that and I think to myself, right, this is like raspberry pavlova, okay? It's that lovely dessert that you're going to find room for when you're not really hungry or you've turned off your feeding instincts. Because what they do is, when I got them out last night, I put them in hot water. The aroma coming off of an African soft-furred rat, actually they're mice, not rats, but they are very good. They're high protein and they don't stink, and for their size they put more protein into your animal. But the benefit is, because they're so small, they can pass through their digestive system. Now remember, animals are put under pressure. When you're breeding them, they're under pressure. So their desire to breed is stronger than their desire to feed. Therefore they can turn off. But the key is to give them some variety, step the size down. So if they're used to a small rat, step it down to one of these Maltese. And I think these are called large Maltese, even though they look small.
Yeah, large or extra large, I don't remember.
Is it large and extra large? Which ones are these?
I think they might be extra large.
Extra large. And who gives us? Simon gives us these, doesn't he?
Yeah, Simon Ling.
Simon Ling. If you're looking for a really good high quality supplier of rats, Simon Ling, one of his business is called, he's got two businesses. He supplies us with a racking system, which is Herb Exotics.
It's Ridgeway.
Ridgeway. Look him up, Ridgways, and he supplies high quality snakes as well. Go look him up and he'll do a deal with you. If you buy a lot off him, he'll do you a good deal. And the supply, we ordered this 2 days ago and they came within 2 days. If you want stuff delivered, I promise you, his delivery system, and the guys that work for him are fantastic. I've had no issues, no problems, been with him for over 18 months, 2 years. Well, Jared's known him for 4. Because you've kept snakes since 4 and he's supplied you with all the rats from day 1. You've known him for 4, I've known him for about 18 months. I'd recommend him. I think he's great. And the food is high quality. There's no issues with it, in my book. So anyway, use your Maltese. Give that. So I gave this to Apollo. So you know Apollo hadn't eaten for 6 weeks. I presented this to him. And before I did that, I presented some of these to the girls as well that were switching off. And they turned their nose up on a small rat, which means it's good news. It means their follicles are growing, the eggs are growing, and they're looking at the size of the prey and they're thinking, no way am I going to take that in my body because I need room for my eggs. So that's why they switch off, one of the reasons. Because those eggs are going to be working their down to the, what's the name of the, is it oviduct? Oviduct? I think it's called an oviduct. It's the bottom of, when they ovulate, there's a little area where the eggs come out, called the oviduct. And if you've got food passing through their body and you've got eggs trying to develop, the females switch off because they're worried that it'll interfere with everything. So they switch off. But if you give them something smaller that they think, yeah, I could pass that through without causing an issue, they'll eat. And I promise you, if you put it in hot water, the smell of that will entice them and they'll look at it. And I had 3 girls that were starting to go off food take 3 Maltese yesterday. So that's a top tip. And any boys that are going off food, if they eat every couple of weeks during the breeding season, that will give them, it will sustain them through their breeding. So now Apollo's back on, because I know he's eating, I'm going to be putting him back into the rotation. I haven't pulled him off, to be honest with you, but I'm just so pleased that he's got the sense to realise he needs to get some strength up. So that's a top PGTV tip. Let me just see if I can put that back. Right. Let's go back to the video, which was about, we wanted to cover those comments, Jared, didn't we? So should we have a little look at what else we were going to talk about? Should I have a go at popping a snake then?
Yeah.
Let's go and pop the snake. Which one do you think?
He's on with the black tag down
Let
there.
me just show you Apollo. Okay, look how content they are. Yeah, see how happy he is, Jared? That looks like a happy animal to me. And he's fed. And you know, it's joy to me. You know, when you've got your favourite boys that aren't eating, it does worry you. But when they take a meal, it's a massive, massive positive in your own mind. And I think there were a couple of girls. Amber, our clown girl, she's in shed at the moment. She used to be a really picky eater. You have a look at her now, Jazz. She took 2 small rats because I think she's had 3 locks and she's building.
Even in shed as well.
That was in shed. Right, what are you going to give me, Jared? I want a sub-adult.
Well,
take one off that side. There's a couple that haven't eaten up there, I think. Really? Or what was the percentage? We only had 5 snakes that didn't eat, wasn't it?
Yeah, 5 or 6.
Out of 120, we had 5 or 6 snakes that didn't eat. 1 or 2 were in shed, and then we got the 4. Remember, we got those 4 in the hospital. You know, we imported those pieds. Then I think there's no more mites on them, but one of them had mites, and we're treating them for mites out in the hospital, out in the house. And once we get them through the mite issue, so if you take those off as well, we're doing really well, Jad. So, is there anything that I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's pop another day, because I'm not going to pop a snake that's got food in it. Okay. Is that a good idea? Mm-hmm. And there's plenty more to talk about. So, also I was going to say, you know, we talked about these 2 issues yesterday about the heater and the air what's it called, Jad?
Purifier.
Air purifier. I think it was Steve Beckett came up with an idea, and he suggested. Was it Steve or was it Kirk? Let me just check.
Sure, it wasn't Chris B.
It wasn't Chris B. No.
Oh, the heat pump.
No, the heat pump. We're going to come back to Chris in a second. I want to just get the names right. So it was. I think it was. I apologise if I got it wrong. It's either Steve or Kirk. I think. I apologise if I got this wrong. But what they suggested was, okay, we've moved the heater away from there, because we were having problems with the humidity, and that allows it to cool down. But not everyone's got a big facility, it's all in one area. So he came up with the idea of having a heat deflector, which means that you put, I'm presuming that you put something in front of your heat to stop overheating the rubs, and then having a fan at ground level. Now if you look at where our fans are, Joe, just show them where our fans are.
One in the corner.
One in the corner, one in that corner. What's the purpose of having a fan in a facility?
It circulates the air.
Circulates the air.
There's no dead spots.
No dead spots. If you get a dead spot, it means that you get cold areas that can be dead, you get hot areas that are too hot. If you circulate your air, then if you're heating the air, there's a much more even spread of that temperature, so you're not getting too many extreme temperatures. So what I wish I would have done when we built the facility is actually put one of the fans on the ground level. But Jared disagrees with that, don't you, Jared?
I just think it takes up too much space if you put it down low. It won't go around because you've got racks in the way.
The plan is we're going to put some more racks down this side. Okay. Yeah. So having fans up above leaves us rack space. Yeah. But the other option I've got is get a small fan at ground level, and then what that will do is it'll blow the heat off the radiator at ground level, stop the heat from hitting those rubs and drying out our snakes. Just an idea. Let me know your thoughts, how everyone else is doing out there. Okay, let's do a review of the comments from yesterday's video. Now we've only got 5 minutes, so on this 30-minute vlog or whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to say to Jared that we're going to probably do 2 uploads today. This will be the first one. Let me know when we get close to half an hour, and then I'll do a part 2. But let's just start on. Let's have a little look. Some of the comments from yesterday. We'll start with Wayne Stant, I think. Yeah, Wayne Stant is the person that I want to thank for his comments. So he asked the brand of the boxes, Jad. What was the brand that you were using in yesterday's box setup video?
They're called Systema Clip-Its.
Systema Clip-It containers, and what size were they?
There's 2 different sizes, I'll show you quick.
Yeah.
This one up here, the shallower one is a 7 litre, and then this one I want to say is 9 point something, similar to a 9 litre rub.
Do you want to bring this meat out?
It's it doesn't say.
Give it to me and I'll just have a little look. So here we go, there's the make on there, Jared. Just zoom in on that so people can see what to look for.
Systema Clip-It. Oh, they're 9.6 litres.
9.6, there you go. So 9.6 will hold up to how many eggs, Jared?
Hold a good clutch.
So
this is for like a clutch that's built on top of each other, like a high one.
Yeah.
So if you want to leave it as it lays, and then this one is shallower.
Yeah, and we forgot to mention 2 things when we introduced that. There's a shallow one, there's a deep one. So if you get a big girl like Colossus that's going to give you big eggs and big clutches, something this size would probably be ideal. But if you get a small girl that's giving you small eggs, something like this is good. But if you look carefully, the reason why we don't use cling film is because Jared's bought these. They come with these little blue. They're called blue O-rings, I think, and I think that's what.
They're airtight.
That's what Wayne was saying. He uses blue O-rings on the tubs, and they got these seals, so they seal. Now, A lot of people don't want to use sealed units, that's why they put the cling film over. But if you buy these, you don't need to cling film them. But what you do need to do is you need to ventilate them. So let's have a look at the ventilation holes, Jared. What have you done to ventilate them?
2 tiny holes either side. Or this one I got 3.
3 on that side. Can you see the holes?
It's hard to see.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
3 on that side.
And 3 on that side. And with it like this, I never have to open the tub. There's always air going around. The fan in the incubator's blowing it through. So
yeah.
You don't want big holes because then you lose the humidity.
Yeah, small holes.
Tiny little holes.
Yeah, it works for us, yeah.
On the smaller one, so this is one that I use for the little incubator that we have.
Yeah.
I've put 1 hole either side, just so there's a bit of air circulation in there.
It works. So you don't have to keep on disturbing your eggs going back to them. A lot of breeders have different views on it, Jared. Some of them, I think, like to open and split. They like to wipe off the water. But like you say, that trick that you had on an angle so the water runs off is very good.
Yeah, it's worked for us every time, so
yeah.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Now the other thing that Wayne was asking about is he uses golf tees instead of straws. Now,
so these aren't straws, these are like craft straws, so they're really rigid, so they're similar.
Yeah, so we use the rigid craft straws, or you use your... now Richard Predator BP used to use wooden golf tees, and he put a video out, and I watched it about a year or so ago, and he said he had a problem with mould because wood will mould. And he changed the plastic ones and they're absolutely fine now. So the top tip is don't use wood in your boxes for supports.
Yeah, no wood, no cardboard, nothing that will mould.
And of course Ginger Ginge, if you've got a chance to see his video, what we're using on that egg crate, he constructs chambers, crisscrossy chambers, they're beautiful. I might like to ask him to send me a sample, we'll probably do a video feature for him and do it on here. So if you want to send us one, please do, I'll be more than happy, and make sure it's in orange please. I think you'll get that. So we've only got a couple of minutes before we have to do part 2, Jared. Is there anything you want to say yourself before we move on to part 2?
No.
Okay, so how much time have we got?
2 minutes.
We've got 2 minutes. So in those 2 minutes, we've got time to... Was there anything else on the egg boxes on the incubation side that you wanted to share, Jared, and you can think of we might have missed? I mean, Chris B brought up a couple of things about when you squeezed out the... Have you got something, Jared?
Oh, I've got something about the actual incubation, but not the egg boxes.
Okay. Tell you what.
That's fine. You keep going.
Should I do my? Do you want do yours and I'll keep Chris's for part 2?
Okay. So a top tip with the incubation. I think we've mentioned it before in a video. Is to have water bottles at the bottom, and the reason for this is because if you're opening your incubator, the moment you open that incubator, all the hot air comes out straight away, and you lose all the heat. Whereas if you've got hot water bottles that are heated up in there already, they will then disperse the heat quicker, so it then allows the incubator to warm back up faster. So that's a little top tip as well.
I love that tip, Jared. It's really good. And you know, some people also on the incubation, they put tubs of open water at the bottom to keep the humidity in the incubator as well as in the...
Yeah.
That's another tip, but...
You don't have to do that, but you can if you want.
Yeah. So what I'll say to you is...
risky with electrics.
Risky with electrics, but there's pros and cons to both. In part 2, we're going to cover the pros and cons of some of these things. We're also going to answer some of your questions from... We've got Chris B's asked a lot of interesting questions that I think we can cover on the second one. So thank you for watching part 1. Come join us on part 2, and we shall see you very shortly. So thank you very much.